We'll now have a presentation on Ayush sector. I like to call it Ayush rather than TCAM, just to contextualize it locally. But I'm look for Lakshmi.
Thank you.
She's from Indian Institute of Public Health, Hyderabad, but part of a PHFI study that's looking at different states and Ayush integration.
Thank you. So my study is, I'm going to give you a snapshot of a study that was done by the Governance Hub at PHFI. And my colleagues are named here and are also located at various strategic spots in the hall. This study is called Engaging TCAM, that is Traditional Complementary and Alternative Medical Providers for Essential Health Service Delivery in India, a policy analysis. And I'm immediately going to respond to what Dr. Ravi Narayan said about wanting to call it Ayush rather than TCAM, because that's something that we address in our study. So why we did this study? There's mainstreaming of Ayush in India. Ayush, this is the only time I'm going to expand this, is Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy. So various traditional, complementary, and alternative medical systems that are recognized by the Government of India and codified and attempting to be integrated into the public health system. So this mainstreaming of Ayush in India has been done through the institution of a Department of Ayush in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, by the development of an Ayush, national Ayush policy, by boards for regulation and councils for research, and by the launch and implementation of the NRHM, which has as one of its strong points the mainstreaming of Ayush across the country. And I've used the word integration once before, and I'm going to now give you the Governance Hub's definition of integration so we can have a little clarity on that. And before that, I must say that this is a fact that may not be very well known to everyone, but we have as many TCAM providers in India as allopaths. So when we talk about the great deficiency of manpower among physicians, it's not really such a big deficiency if you include the TCAM physicians. So we have about 7 lakh of each category. The TCAM category, which should not be taken as one, but is taken as one, and the allopathy category. And integration is conceptualized by, this clarity comes more to us from research correspondence by Sheikh and Nambiar. It's conceptualized as distinct from a sporadic or ad hoc kind of inclusion, and certainly as distinct from assimilation. So the idea is not that Ayush and allopathy get together and become one entity, but that they exist in a plural state. And so it's moving towards enabling providers through organizational structures and promoting research to a vibrant, pluralistic medical system. And we're going to look at integration through these 3 avenues: enhancing access to care, optimizing the roles of all the players in these systems, and developing the various fields. The objective of the study was to examine operational and ethical challenges in the implementation of the current policies for the integration of TCAM providers in the public health system of India. And we used policy review. So we reviewed documents that are bills and acts and orders and memos within institutions, inter-institution communications, and publicly available materials such as information on websites and so on. And we also conducted a series of in-depth interviews with a wide range of players in the health system: key informants, health system actors, which includes administrators, and TCAM providers, allopathic providers, and community representatives, using the principle of maximum variation to get as wide a range of participants as possible. The study was implemented in 3 states: Kerala, Meghalaya, and Delhi. We chose these states because of their unique characteristics with respect to Ayush. Kerala has a history of well-established and institutionalized Ayush for the past many decades. Meghalaya has a very rich tradition of TCAM that is non-Ayush TCAM. But with the integration of Ayush into various parts of the country, Ayush is implemented in Meghalaya much as it is implemented elsewhere, and there's a certain tension that we wanted to explore there. And in Delhi, Delhi has several systems of medicine, institutionalized and non-institutionalized, and it's also the headquarters of the country, so we chose Delhi. This project was funded by Wellcome Trust, awarded by the Wellcome Trust PHFI Consortium. I'm going to leap to the results. I must say here that the study is ongoing. Data collection is nearly complete but not complete, and analysis is certainly not complete. But this is what our preliminary findings show. So the policy review, the targets are, as I mentioned before, to enhance access to care, to optimize the roles of all the players, particularly the providers, and to develop the various fields, the systems of medicine. And what we observed is that sometimes the same group and sometimes separate groups are tasked with Ayush activities in different states. So it is not uniform across the states. And this is a concept we come across a lot when it comes to integration, and that is the concept of co-location. So will you have an Ayush practitioner in the same place as an allopathic practitioner or not? So in some states there is no co-location, in some others there is complete co-location, and in some cases there is some co-location and some standalone facilities. And the reporting structure in some cases underscores a hierarchy, which I will touch upon now. From the interviews, this is the number of interviews conducted, and already this slide is obsolete because a few more interviews have been conducted and a few more will be very shortly. But we interviewed over 162 informants, and 61 of them were female, 101 male. The work experience ranged from 1 to 45 years. And our findings, no surprises. Our principal finding is conflict. So there is a dissonance. There's a dissonance of expectations of various players. And I'll give you an example. So, say an Ayush provider who's contracted to function at a particular PHC would think that he or she only has to conduct outpatient services. So just do OPD and go home. Whereas other people think, what is this? Can the person do night duties? Can this person perform a delivery? They have a doctor attached to their name. Are they so ignorant? Those kinds of things. And this is contributed to by the prolonged inadequacy of supplies and support. So supplies such as medication and any equipment that people might need, and support such as technical support, like you may need a compounder or an assistant. Also other kinds of support, like somebody to come and clean the place and keep it open and things like that. And then we found that this is dissonance among people, but there's also dissonance within an individual. So that's what we call discordant loyalties in practitioners. So you have a loyalty as a practitioner to your system of medicine, to the patient, to the facility technical staff, which includes your allopathic colleagues, your TCAM colleagues, your the staff nurse and other support staff, and to the public health system in general. And sometimes these loyalties come into conflict. Awareness, another theme. So there is generally a lack of awareness of basic facts, especially facts relating to TCAM and TCAM facilities available, like, what do people study? Are they colleges? Do they do these kinds of things while they're being trained? Things like that. And this lack of awareness is very high particularly among the administrators, and to some extent among providers themselves. And this, we believe, stems from lack of awareness, mistrust. And mistrust, and here you see already I have 3 bubbles. One called traditional medicine, that is non-Ayush traditional medicine. And then there's Ayush and allopathy, and there's a general mistrust enough to go around. And we also noticed something very interesting. There's a dismissal of Ayush or traditional medicine as unscientific by people who profess to be educated and see themselves as educated persons. Almost a J-shaped curve. The more educated you are, at first, if you're not educated at all, you seem like you're pretty open. And then with a little bit of education, your openness goes down. And then with much more education, it sort of opens up again. And we found this. You may have whatever personal belief you choose to have, positive or negative towards traditional medicine particularly, but you can almost never express it openly. So there's acceptance of traditional practice at the individual level, what we notice a lot in our interviews, but it's really not possible for them to make loud declarations about this. Communication was not always poor. I'm happy to say that there's some good news. There was a lot of collegiality in some places and absolute lack thereof in others. And there's a lack of formal referral mechanisms. So we want all these providers to be doing something, but how do they convey patients among themselves? And in many cases, personal initiative supersedes systemic arrangements for collaborative functioning. Credibility is granted by co-location. This is mainly for the Ayush providers. It's granted by co-location, it's granted by government support, but it is robbed by the lack of support from the other people in the health systems, and certainly robbed by the inadequate supplies. And it grants visibility, but then it takes away authority. If there is co-location, the person in charge is the allopath. So you get all the visibility you want, but then you have to route all your reports through the allopath. And there are strained professional relations, notwithstanding cordial social interaction. So there's some compartmentalization there. You have a party together, but when it comes to working hours, you're not friends. So to summarize the findings, along these three parameters of access to care, certainly enhanced access to care is there. There are diverse administrative setups in different states, and there are logistical delays and gaps. And role expansion or role shifting is driven by lack rather than by expertise. There's limited formal communication and coordination, and therefore limited opportunity for collaborative work. And about field development, there's the heated contestations on medical evidence from TCAM. There are hierarchies and biases towards, yes, but even within TCAM, and there is virtually no place for non-Ayush TCAM systems yet. So what shall we do? Again, I must say that our study is not complete by any means, but this is what we are already thinking, that we need to enhance supplies of medicine and equipment, and the appointment of support personnel, especially to support Ayush practitioners, and we need TCAM-oriented persons in administrative roles. They don't have to be TCAM persons, but they need to have an orientation to TCAM. And training of support personnel and of administrators and managers, and they need, administrators and managers really need some management training, which is where organizations like PHFR come in, and we need a lot of research funding, because when you say there's no evidence and all that, somebody needs to get that evidence, and that needs funding. And a very strong finding of ours was this conflict, so we need to resolve that conflict, and it seems to begin with raising awareness, because much of conflict is based on ignorance. So TCAM orientation for health system actors and providers, all providers, and perhaps reorganized reporting channels that cut out this hierarchy complication. And of course, all this in a background of awareness raising among the public, because this island of health systems is not going to work unless everybody feels the same way. So that's where I conclude. I was almost more determined to finish in time than to finish. Thank you.
Thanks. Before we take the question, I just want to share that for the last 1 year, I've been having the most interesting dilemma, being invited by the Planning Commission to chair an expert group, which is hoping that some of the complexity that Lakshmi has just shared, in her usual very sort of smiling and comfortable way, but using words like conflict and things like that, is hopefully going to be sorted out, because a lot of you in the audience are going to do health systems research on TCAM. The Government of India has set itself, the mandate we had for our committee was that by 2017, in the 13th plan, we'll have the National Integrated Health Mission. And so all these issues of working together and norm setting and standardization and logistics and so on are supposed to be sorted out in 5 years. And I can tell you that the whole of last year, as a head of that Planning Commission group, we couldn't get very far, because we had two good, well sort of entrenched groups. We had the romantics of Ayush, and we had the non-Ayush public health mainstream, which thought all of Ayush was placebo. And so it was very, very difficult to go beyond that. And I'm really looking forward to studies like that. We have an excellent study recently done by Ritu Priya and other groups who've looked at Ayush and this. And yet the good news, I would say, is that actually on the ground, there is much more micro level, at least, integration and efforts at working together than we know about. And it's because of this problem of having either the allopaths think everything is placebo, or the Ayush things we have answers for everything, including HIV, AIDS, and H1N1, that you are not able to move forward. And so we really, this is an area where we need good health systems researchers with a certain objectivity and to move forward. So having said that, if there are any questions, we take 2 questions and then we'll answer them at the end. Yes, Bart, and after that, Bart.
Thank you for this nice presentation. My question is the following: is there not a risk that enhanced public policy involvement in Ayush and traditional medicine eventually leads to these types of medicine not being traditional anymore?
Not being?
Not being traditional anymore.
Yeah. Yes.
Excellent. We are talking about Ayurveda, Siddha and other alternative medicine, other therapies. But I'm just surprised why physiotherapy is not included in any of these national programs and policies. Because physiotherapy, as we know, the scope of physiotherapy, it starts from womb to tomb. Like from newborn baby to the geriatric population, the scope of physiotherapy is really wonderful, and there are a lot of evidences on that. But why physiotherapy is not recognized at a national program? I cannot see any national program or policies giving stress to physiotherapy services. So there are almost more than 45,000 physiotherapists in India, and every year around more than 1,500 physiotherapists are qualifying in our country. So why can't we utilize those human resource for the better health system?